Go see your mother. You were only given one. Go see your mother. And you know that you will never have another. Go see your mother. Go see your mom.
Welcome. Boy calls his mother. I'm your host, Sadia, and this is my mother, Ema. Hey, Ema.
Hello, the sweetness. So, summer is here, and what are you doing for vacation?
Nothing. I don't get vacation. I get nothing. I get zero PTO and all that stuff. It's just whatever. It is what it is.
I guess your little boy's not old enough for that. Wait till your kids start school.
Well, yeah, that's what I kind of thought of as well. Where it's just like when you're having a child, you really start seeing the days and years go by a lot faster than when you're just not really thinking that much. Like, being confused as to how old you are and things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it's apparently your flight got delayed.
Yep. So I decided just to relax.
Okay.
I'm back home. Watch a nice relaxing movie, Die Hard 2.
What do you think of Die Hard 2?
I haven't been seeing that much of it because your brothers and sisters called to see what was going on with me. So I kept having to, yeah. But it's really quite action packed, and it's like you can't figure out who are the bad guys, who are the good guys.
You've never seen it before?
No.
Oh wow. Okay. All right. That's cool. Yeah, it's funny when you look back and you're like, oh, this movie came out like 20 years ago and I haven't even looked at it yet. Well,
when a lot of these movies came out, I really wasn't into movies. Other than I felt that as far as like movies go, like a lot of these movies that were in the movie theaters, I have yet to see one movie that's worth the magnetic tape it was recorded on.
I mean, what do you want out of a movie?
At least for what the amount of money they want for the movie theaters.
Well, no, it's very frustrating and understandable why people don't like movie theaters right now, because it's just so expensive for everything. Like I think Jerry Seinfeld has this joke where he goes on this rant about, I go to the movie theater, I pay $15 a ticket. I get a large popcorn for $8. I get a drink for $4. I go ahead and buy some candy for $3. I sit in my seat. I watch the movie. I'm not cleaning it up. No. Because there was a whole thing about movie theaters asking people to please clean up after themselves. It's like, no, I'm not doing that. I'm sorry. You know what I mean? So
I don't blame them. After all you pay for it. So I just feel it's I mean, if the grandkids coming from out of town and they want to see some sort of like little, like a kids movie or family movie, okay, just for a treat, I'll take them out, because often do I get to do that. But as for myself, I mean, especially I know your father and I weren't big movie people. We went occasionally, but we weren't very big movie people. Now, when I was in high school and college, oh boy, that was the thing. We were really into movies.
Out of curiosity, what would you say was a good movie, and why was it a good movie?
That's a good question. I'm trying to think of any movies I've seen that I can honestly say are really good movies.
I'll start you off. I'll go first because I feel like sometimes when I do that, it jogs your memory.
Okay.
A movie that I would say is hands down really good is Memento. It's a movie about a guy who has this short-term memory loss issue where he only remembers the short term. He doesn't have he has long-term memory. He doesn't have short-term memory. So if he's starting his conversation with someone, he can't figure out why he's there or what's going on. So he had these tattoos all over himself to remind himself of what of like what he's doing, what he's trying. He's really trying to solve the murder of his wife,
Mhm.
and it's a whole long mystery. I don't want to spoil it for anybody.
It sounds
But
almost like it would be a comedy.
no, it's actually it's not. It's actually not. It's a very serious movie. It's very good. I like the mystery of it. I like the twists. I like the suspense. Everything had a good pace. It was a good movie all in all. And that's what it's like. I've seen some good movies lately. I haven't actually no. I take that. I don't think I've seen any good movies lately because I don't think I've had time lately to sit down and watch like an hour and a half, 2 hour movie. You know. But so now that I got you going, do you have anything that jog your memory?
Movies I've seen that I thought were good. Well, when I was in high school, I saw we all thought The Graduate. That was like wow, everybody loved that movie. And then I saw it many many years later when it came to television. And the next day, I think when I forget was I in college when it came to television, or I graduated over. I'm not sure, but I remember me and my friends looking at each other and saying, "What did we ever see in that stupid movie?"
I saw The Graduate. I actually liked it.
Yeah, it was good. It was a pretty decent movie. Soul Man was a funny movie. Soul Man was a good movie.
Wait, Soul
That was
Man?
funny. Soul Man. Your father and I saw it. We a friend of ours had Netflix or something, and we went to his house to see it. It was when cable first came out and Netflix and all that. So
No, Netflix came out a lot afterwards.
when so it, no, this we didn't see it. I know we did not see it in the movie theaters.
Soul Man was a movie from the 80s.
Yeah. Oh, it was?
Yes.
That's strange because we were over a friend's house when we saw it.
No, Soul Man was that the reason why I think it's so funny, and I'm very curious to know how you understand things and how you remember things, because Soul Man was a movie from the 80s about a guy complaining about affirmative action and does complete blackface the entire movie.
Oh no! Here's what's going on. It was about a young man from Los Angeles who he's from a very extremely wealthy family. He gets accepted to I think it was Harvard, if I'm not mistaken, and he gets accepted I think to Harvard, and his father pulls a bombshell on. His father is going through therapy to try to like realize himself. And he decides that the best way to teach his son how to be a man is to just totally not pay for anything, not even law school he was accepted to. So it's like, he's like, this is like very sudden. And the kid is like left out in the cold, like, what? He just got accepted. He doesn't have the money for it. So he has an idea. He looks and he finds out that there's he's, I think it was the other race scholarship.
Yes, Ema, you're literally saying what I said. That's exactly what I.
Yeah, but it was a little different though.
No, that's exactly the movie I'm talking about. It's talking about a movie that came out in 1986.
Yeah.
About a guy who was going to college and was dressed up, did blackface in the whole movie because of affirmative action. That's what I said.
What he does is there was a friend of his who was a scientist who who developed these tanning pills that you can take and you can, so you can get a nice suntan, look darker. So he decides he takes like a lot of them so that he can look black to get accepted for this scholarship.
Yes, that's what I said.
Oh, so I thought it was something different.
No, we're talking about the same thing. You're just not listening to me.
We're talking about the same thing. I'm misinterpreting.
No.
It's not that I don't listen. I misinterpret.
No. So what it is this.
What's the difference between listening and misinterpreting?
It's that I literally am saying the same thing. I said exactly what we're talking about. And then you said, no, that's not true. And then you start going on this whole long talk about everything that I'm saying, literally almost word for word. And I keep on saying, yes, that's what I'm talking about. And then you keep on saying, no, that's not what you're saying. let me go ahead and tell you what I'm trying to say.
Mhm.
And then every single time you say that, like, it's this consistency.
Mm.
You
Okay.
know,
So we misinterpreted.
sure,
Yes.
sure.
Yeah.
Have you ever had that issue where you were trying to say something or someone says I don't think you remember it correctly? Has it ever happened to you?
All the time.
Hmm.
All the
Okay.
time, man. All the time.
Okay.
Okay.
Why do you
Yeah,
think
but
that
that was a funny
is?
movie. That was a funny movie,
Oh, it's
though.
a very funny movie. It's a very entertaining movie.
It was like I
Um,
remember I was talking to somebody about the movie, and she said it sounds like a comic, Black Like Me. Have you ever heard about the book Black Like Me?
no, what's Black Like Me?
Okay, I read it when I was, I think, in sixth or seventh grade. What it was an actual story. It was written by the man who this happened to. He decided to do. He wanted to do. It was during the basically the late 1950s, early 60s was at the very advent of the civil rights movement.
Hmm.
And so at that time, you still had a lot Jim Crow laws and a lot of discrimination in the South. So he's a Caucasian man. He went to a dermatologist, and the dermatologist was able to give him these skin treatments so that he could pass for being a black man.
Hmm.
And he decided to travel all through the South, the deep South, like Alabama, um, Georgia, Alabama, basically the Bible Belt states. And he took buses. He took like regular buses through them, and he documented um, all the instances of racial discrimination that he saw. And some of them, oh my gosh, some of the things that he documented that he went through were absolutely horrifying. He also hitchhiked, and he got some rides from some white men, and basically the way that they spoke to him was very degrading. And that's so he wrote his experiences up in this book called Black Like Me.
Black Like Me.
Uh,
Yeah, I see this by
I forgot what was the name of the author. Griffin was his name, I think.
John Howard Griffin.
Right.
It's a
In fact,
nonfiction.
I saw an interview with him on one of the talk shows on television at the time.
Hmm. I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah, because he said the purpose of his book. He said that even as a young son, as a young child, he was raised. He was raised like to hate discrimination, and so he was determined as an adult to shed light on how much discrimination there was against Black people in the South. Did something happen? Were we cut off?
No, I'm listening to you.
Oh, okay, no, because something happened with the screen. There was an incoming call, and something happened with the screen.
Yeah, this is very interesting.
Hmm.
I've never heard about this.
I'm sure you can. I'm sure it's in the library, or I'm sure you could order it. It's a very enlightening book as to what the Black people of the Deep South went through.
Was this?
Yeah, I was talking to one of the teachers at Beis Yaakov was a Black woman who grew up in Alabama during during the horrible situation down there with the KKK, and there was a horrible church bombing where three girls were killed in a Black church. Um, and so I asked her. I think she came from Mobile, Alabama. That's where a lot of this stuff happened. And I asked her, what was that like growing up in there? She says, like with all the with all this like with all this prejudice that was going on. And she says, actually, she says, it kind of went past her. She said she remembers growing up being happy. She said it kind of like it never, somehow she said it just didn't click that she was being discriminated against.
Hmm. I guess when you're so used to it, you can't tell.
Mhm.
That's the thing when we have these interviews with some people and they go on these talks like, oh, it was fine, it was okay. Like, yeah, because you're used to it. You can look at something look at your childhood growing up. In some sense, you're like, oh, it was fine, this was okay. And then you need to take a step back and be like, no, that wasn't okay. No, that wasn't fine. Because you're just born into this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not trying to project, trauma on people, but it's just like, you don't realize, and even then, it's really like, it's funny because I was speaking to one of my nieces earlier this week, and I was talking to her about how I enjoyed reading Goosebumps as a kid, and how I like scary movies and stories now, because we were talking with the Tuvin Gittel story and things like that from the YouTube channel, and she pointed out, she's like, isn't that like a trauma response? I'm like, no, I don't think so. I mean, it's fine. Like, I read these scary stories and it's just fun and exciting and enjoyable. And she's like, I think that's a trauma response. I'm like, whatever you want to believe, whatever you want to believe. Like, I just don't, I'm not gonna have a conversation, argue, or whatever. But it's like these moments where like you think are okay and they are fine, but like people want to poke at it and prod at it and then like try to like dissect it to see like, is this really an okay thing?
Good. Remember the books that you kids read? Goosebumps. The girls read the Sweet Valley Twins.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I thought the books were pretty benign. I thought they were pretty entertaining and pretty benign.
Why?
And
What?
one of the parents and the neighbor said to me, oh, "You let your girls read Sweet Valley Twins?" I said, "Yeah." So I didn't see anything wrong with it.
Let's see. Let's see. Recurring characters, main characters. Oh, there's nothing. Yeah, there's what? Maybe
I
there's
mean,
also like a sensitivity.
the books. I had them read when the girls were in elementary school and in middle school. The ones where they get to high school, my my girls didn't read.
Hmm.
They just had no interest in it because when they were reading them, they were in elementary and in middle school.
Yeah.
But I remember one of the funniest books that the kids read, that the girls read when they were like around sixth grade, was a book by Betsy Hayes called The Great Mom Swap.
Ooh, what's that? What was that about?
That was funny. It was about these two girls that live in Texas. One girl is a native Texan, and she's tall, and her parents are like her she's her parents are they're big meat people. They grill, they make all these like nice meat dishes and everything. And her friend, she has a friend who's a fairly like newcomer to the area, and her parents are these big liberals who are health nuts and into no meat, like meatless dishes and uh, herbs and herb teas and no sugar and things like that. So um, one of the so what so the girl whose family is into like all these health things, whatever, she's short and very blonde, and the other girl whose parents are Texan, she's like real tall, she's tall. So they always each girl criticizes her own mother. So one day her friend is over, she's over her friend's house, and she's talking to her mother, and they're having a great time. She really enjoys being with her mother. And she says to her friend, I don't understand why you criticize your mother so much. Your mother's a great person. I love being around her. So they have an idea. They said, listen, let's swap mothers. Let's swap homes for 1 week. I'll live in your house. You live in my house.
So how'd it go? How'd the story
And
go?
well, let's put it this way. When the girl who's the Texan, the tall Texan, is sleeping at her friend's house, her mother wakes her up. It's summer vacation, and her mother wakes her up 7 o'clock in the morning. Come on, we got to go do aerobics by the pool. Got to stay healthy. What? And then she comes to breakfast and it's herb tea and whole grain cooked cereal. And her friend, of course, is at her house. And when she goes to the girl who's the Texan, her mother, she comes to breakfast. Oh boy, this is what she's been waiting for. It's pancakes. It's it's well, they're not Jewish, so it's bacon, it's pancakes, it's syrup, it's wow, this great stuff. And it's like, well, you can imagine as this would probably go. It usually doesn't work. Oh, by the way, the girl whose parents are into health foods goes to the store all the time, and she very quietly buys all this candy and pastries and hides it in her closet. She calls it her survival kit.
Very cute.
But at the end of the week, let's put it this way, as most of these stories go, but at the end of the week, they're happy to go back and have be with by their own mothers.
Have you ever watched the TV show like Wife Swap?
I've seen it a few times. It is pretty interesting.
Would you ever want to try that like back in the day?
I thought about that. I would like to have an opportunity to do that. Like, but I can imagine like going into like some geisha home and hey, where's the bacon? Sorry, yes, I'm cooking kosher for you.
Yeah, how?
Or why can't I have a cheeseburger? Sorry, sir. I mean, I've seen some of the episodes. I mean, I've seen some episodes where the fathers got so fed up that they actually chased the woman out of the house and locked the door.
Oh yeah.
I don't know how realistic. I mean, some of these reality shows, unfortunately, are really staged, or not true reality shows. So I wonder how much of that was a true reality show.
Well, I think like, in my opinion, I think when it comes to reality shows, the first season is always the best because they're still confused. They still don't know what to do. So you have a lot of raw energy there. But after that, like for instance, MasterChef, right? MasterChef first season was fantastic, where like they're not trying to drum up the drama. They're just trying to figure out like where everything goes. So you have a lot of fun, interesting reality TV show. But then if you get into, season 2, 3, 4, whatever, you can tell there's like a lot more drama, a lot more like manufactured reality, so to speak. So that's kind of my theory where it comes to if you're talking about, anything like that, I would say any reality TV show, the first season is always the best. Ooh, but you know what's a really good reality TV show that I enjoyed? It was called Beauty and the Geek. Do you remember that?
Slightly, I never watched it.
Oh, I saw it. I think most of the seasons. They only ran for I think 4 or 5 seasons, but I saw most of them. And it was this concept of you take these really geeky, dorky guys, and you stick them in a mansion with like really attractive like models, and things like that, and chaos ensues. And they do different, and it's like a competition really, where you try to like become king and queen, so to speak. And they test people's strengths and weaknesses, and at the end, you really start seeing these people actually develop and emotionally, mentally grow into like better, decent human beings. Of like, the models become more humble, and the geeks become more confident with themselves. So it's in general, it's a very fun early 2000s reality TV shows were like really good and fun to watch.
Did they ever like continue dating after the show? Any couples actually dated and got married?
You know what? I would love to go ahead and find that out. I'd be so curious. I don't know. I have to look into that.
Mm-hmm.
I have to look into that.
I know there's I forgot there's one show where they match people up and they match them up and they they get married in a couple days or something. That one.
Yeah, like 3-Day Fiance or something like that.
What's it called?
3-Day Fiance.
Say that again?
3-Day Fiance.
I think that might have been it. And I was reading an article about it that But there was a tremendous number of divorces afterwards.
Oh yeah, not
So,
well. I can always Google it, but how many relationships were consistent or stayed or stable and lasted from the reality TV show Beauty and the Geek? Let's see. They're figuring. Okay, so just to confirm. So I didn't know there was other versions, but apparently there's other versions of the show.
oh,
Um, but yeah, so there was only two people from the US version that actually were long-term relationships.
hmm.
Yeah, that's really cool.
You said you
Um,
too, with all the couples. Well, I'm sorry.
yeah. What?
Yeah. Dating game was another one
Yeah,
that was interesting. Um, there every now and then there was a couple that they would
yeah.
announce in the news from dating game that did eventually marry, but it was not the norm.
So, would you ever want to go on a dating show?
No.
No.
No. But there was, I'm a dating game, seeing forensic files that one of the men on dating game turned out to be a serial killer.
Oh, yes, they made a movie about it
Yeah.
just recently.
Yeah.
They made a movie about it.
Mm-hmm. I was watching it on a couple of years ago. I was watching it on Forensic Files. They had a episode about it.
Oh, wow, yeah. If you could be a psycho killer, what kind of psycho killer would you be?
I couldn't do that. Yeah.
Okay, okay, vigilante psycho killer.
Vigilante psycho killer.
There, done. I fluffed it up for you.
I'd like to be a Mossad agent and go after the like the big bad Arab and Iranian guys.
You know, Jess, you're lucky you tell everybody about it. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah,
Oh,
it's so funny
man.
on the news. They're all speculating. How is it that so many of these like secret areas were able to be, to be taken out? And they said the only thing they can figure out is there had to be Mossad agents on the inside. That's the only thing that they can figure out.
Yeah. Oh my God.
I remember once hearing G. Gordon Liddy was talking about why he thought the Mossad was such an excellent intelligence agency. He says because with other intelligence agencies like the CIA, they take somebody who's basically born and raised in America, and they train them and they coach them in the particular culture and language, and they give them their alter identity and hope they don't mess up. He says in Israel, they'll take a Jewish person who's right from that region, who's a recent immigrant, and they know the language, they know the culture, they know the people, and they'll give them like some sort of alter identity and send them right back in.
Yeah, let's not talk about things like that. Geez, it's funny. There's a guy. I'm on this forum of different people in the community, and one guy was complaining, and this guy, he's very autistic. He's not, so his social skills are terrible.
Mm-hmm.
So he went to this.
I cannot criticize another person's social skills. Mine are not the best either.
Yeah, that's not where I was getting at though. The point I'm trying to get, the reason why I'm saying that is because he went to this car dealership and he noticed that he went to a car dealership to take care of his car because there were some issues with regards to maybe there was an issue in regards to his car might needing to be recalled.
Uh-huh.
And he saw one of the workers having a Free Palestine pin on his lapel.
Ooh.
So appropriately, you should basically shut the fuck up and just go ahead and just deal with it later.
Yeah,
What
or
does
just
he do?
ignore it. Yeah.
He just ignore it. He goes straight to them, gives them a whole long diatribe of how it's inappropriate, anti-Semitic, and yada yada yada. Gives a whole long spiel, and they're like, "Yeah, we don't care." And then next thing you know, they're like, "Yeah, we're like pick up your car." They don't even tell him to pick up the car. They just basically ignore him, and
No,
you know,
no.
they refuse to work on his car because they say he complained, and they didn't even bother to tell him to pick it up. Like, he's shooting himself in the foot because he's like, and this is what I'm seeing with a lot of people, by the way, a lot of mentally unstable people getting involved with all these things, especially with Israeli-Palestinian conflict. It's like
Mhm.
a normal, healthy person understands that, like, yes, this is stressful. Yes, this is a problem. Okay, what can I do about this? What can I do to help? And
Mhm.
just go about like Torah and mitzvos, say Tehillim, just
So
make a
what
Kiddush
happens when
Hashem.
they did not work on his car?
No, they didn't, and they didn't bother telling him to pick it up. They just ignored him, and so now he has to deal with all this stuff. And
So
it might,
so what happened with his car?
I don't know. We're finding out now,
Mm.
and it's just like, it's so dumb because it's like, just I feel it's so important to just, when it comes to situations like this, you don't be a warrior. Like, just, it's fine. Chill out. Like, people are looking for a fight, or they're looking for a reason to get at you, and
Mhm.
you going ahead and getting in their face is just another way for them to go ahead and just make a whole giant mess that's unnecessary.
Mhm.
And that's really where I'm at, where I'm like, I don't go to these protests, I don't go to these walks, I don't go
Yeah.
to any of these things. I'm not getting involved. I say my Tehillim, I do my Ishtadlos, I daven and whatnot, but like,
Mhm.
yeah, anybody else can go ahead and do their own thing. I'm not stopping them. But like, you ask me for my personal opinion and what to do, just stay out of it. Just stay out of it.
Mhm.
It's not worth your time, because you don't know what kind of psychos there are out there.
I
Like,
don't think, like, quite honestly, these marches and these protests. Yeah, I don't see where they have even an effect. I mean, unless if you want to, like, if you want to organize a Tehillim reading for Israel, or a sheet, or like, we're going to learn extra tonight, for the safety of Israel. Sure, that's great. Get people together in the shore, hundreds of people together, and they all say Tehillim together. Beautiful, But the marches and the actual, the I don't know if it even. I don't think it even does. I don't think does any good. I don't think it does anything.
no, it
I think it's a
doesn't, in my
waste of time
opinion.
and money. You're better off saying, like I said, organizing Tehillim reading, and then sending extra tzedakah to Israel.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, that's really what I can tell you, is just go ahead and just yelling and screaming and go and joining some kind of march is just the dumbest thing ever. I feel like people are trying to relive the 60s, in my opinion.
I think you've hit the nail on the head. Yeah.
It's like they're trying to relive the 60s and relive these moments, like those were moments where, like, you marched from, Alabama or Arkansas, and you marched until your feet bled, yada yada yada, and you did all these things, you made these protests, and you fought for people's rights, and yada yada. Now it's just like they're trying to do this. They have this whole, everyone's trying to be this dramatic person trying to fight for some kind of rights to whatever. And I think it's just the dumbest thing. It is the dumbest thing. I can't stress it enough. You know?
I mean, the best thing to do is, if you think that there's been an injustice, is to go to the people in charge. Go to make an appointment with your congressperson or your city council person, and come in and say, hey, this incident happened, or this happened, and I think this is a case of discrimination, say, against the
It's
Jewish
not.
community
It's
or
not.
something.
No, it's not. It's not. You know why? They chose not to do business with a potential customer who came in and immediately began harassing the management over an employee's personal legal
Oh,
choices.
I'm not talking about with this incident.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
talking about in general, that you're instead of making these like big marches and protests, you're better off going actually to the people that are in power, like your local representatives, and meeting with them and talking with them to affect and to affect change on a local level.
Yeah.
You feel that there's been an incident.
I mean, vote locally, think globally.
But I feel sorry for this guy. I mean, basically, someone's working on my car. I just want him to. I don't care. I just want him to work on my car.
Yeah.
I'm interested in my car. I'm not interested in his politics.
Yeah. And I think that's where, I had a conversation with a guy at work recently, and we're a good friend. I went friendly. We socialize and talk a lot. And he was telling me about the importance of, why is Israel attacking Iran? Thou shalt not kill, yada, yada, yada. I'm like, first off, it's thou shalt not murder. Second off, Iran has been attacking Israel for the past 50 years with supports of Hamas, Hezbollah, and various other proxies, and also threatening nuclear, war for who knows how long. And they've actually been able to enrich uranium to a higher percentage than you normally would for any residential, local, productive use. So there was a lot of evidence that they had nukes and they're working on getting a nuclear bomb. Now, I don't know what you want from me. And he's like, oh, okay, I agree, disagree. And then we moved on. Because it's just he knew he was in a corner and he couldn't get himself out of it. And he just had his own little moment. But I'm not going to go ahead and talk about that at work day in, day out. I really don't.
No,
I really don't. It's just I'm here to do my job and move on. And people that bring their political stuff to work, I don't think they're the most healthy individual, in my opinion. No matter who they are, no matter what they do.
Probably not.
It's it's in America. I mean, it's a joke that there's a joke that Dave Chappelle had about how Americans are so obsessed with privacy when it comes to who they voted for that they're more than willing to talk to you about their intimate moments with their spouse than go ahead and explain to you who they voted for. And he did this whole skit and this whole stuff, and it was really funny. But yeah, it's private because people take it way too personally. I think people need to chill out and people need to relax and think just there's not going to be a World War III. There's not going to be a giant whatever. Calm down. I hope America does not get involved, in my opinion. I think it's dumb and stupid, and I don't think they should get involved. And in my personal opinion, I think it's Trump that's trying to get involved. Trying to get involved to go ahead and get a Nobel Peace Prize by butting into something that's, not I'm saying none of his business, but that doesn't really concern him that much. I don't think Israel should have America involved at all.
Yeah.
Why, you disagree?
I really have no opinion because what's going on basically, what's really going on behind the scenes, no one really knows.
Oh, for sure.
Let's put it this way. People there's the saying, those who are talking don't really know, and those who really know are not talking. Yeah. So I'm just. Sometimes I wonder though, watching the news, that sometimes I ask myself, why am I even wasting my time watching the news? I can't do anything about it anyway. What can I do about it? Yeah. I'm not a politician. I'm not anybody in power. I mean, okay, it's good to be informed, I guess, but I listen to the news. It's what can you really do about it if you're listening to, what can you do about it? Yeah, no, I agree. Is it a form of entertainment, maybe? I think people like the drama. I think people like the thrill of the worry. They like to have a chance to go ahead and be dramatic and be over the top, in my opinion. Because if you really look at people that, like what you said, when you really look at people that they're doing work and in the government and dealing with high stakes stuff, most of them are very even keeled, boring people. And they're just trying to keep their head, just trying to get the work done and come home and see their family. And their work just somehow has to be like an ambassador to Taiwan or China or wherever. And they're dealing with all this political stuff. There's probably more things happening than we ever even realized or know. And now things bubble to the surface and the average, person is just freaking out and just going nuts. And what's more on top of that is you have people that are on Instagram or whatnot, just talking about these politics that they know nothing about. You just jolted my memory. I remember when I was in high school, in the Spanish Club, one of our trips was to the Panamanian Embassy in Washington. And we were we got a chance to talk to the Panamanian ambassador to the United States. And we were asking him what it was like being like an ambassador, like a diplomat like that. He says,
That's another episode of Jewish Boy Calls His Mother. Thanks for listening to us kvetch, reminisce, and of course, get a little motherly advice along the way. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share with your favorite Jewish mother or anyone who needs a little guilt in their life. Got a story, question, or just want to say hi? Send us a message. I'd love to hear from you. Until next time, call your mother. She worries.